Hello and welcome once again to Beaversity. Today we're going to be discussing academic citations and references. Basically, we're going to give you why did I say? Right, it's okay. 20 ways in which you can avoid plagiarism. Big no-no in academia. Everyone wants to avoid it. Today we're going to give you a quick tip or 20 tips at least how to avoid plagiarism. Because this is basically what happens most times. This is most people when they finish their essay. They've done the till daybreak reading, they're very happy with themselves, and then the teacher reads their essay and goes, "Oh my god, what just happened there?" So, welcome to Beaversity. Today, we're going to be discussing how you get better. If this is you, you want to learn about how to write better essays, welcome to the Education Center. And like our video, and we'll tell you a story first. So, once upon a time, in a time of dragons, there was a student who appeared very clever and got good grades, but there was just one thing the student couldn't seem to do: write his own assessments. Whenever he had to write a paper, he would take ideas from other people and sources and he would not give them any credit. So, what happened? He would copy, paste entire paragraphs from different internet sources, book journals, colleagues, and pass them off as his own. He thought he was being clever, but he was being dishonest. He thought he could get away with it, but guess what? As they say, all day for the thief, one day for the owner. One day he got caught. His professor noticed that his turned in, also noticed that his similarity is very high. And they checked all the sources and they found they wasn't giving credit to original authors. The student was referred to academic misconduct panel to be investigated for plagiarism. The academic integrity panel met and decided to fail him. He was very ashamed. He had to learn a valuable lesson about professionalism in academic work, about academic integrity, and he vowed to never again use someone else's words without giving credit. He also began to make sure that he always cited his sources and he wrote all his papers from scratch and he cited them appropriately. So, what exactly is this big word plagiarism? Well, it's an act of using somebody else's work and idea without giving them proper credit. It's a form of academic dishonesty and it's considered a serious offense in most academic settings. It's not just words, it could be media, it could be photos, it could be anyone's intellectual property, it could be tables, whatever it is. So it's about copying somebody else's intellectual property and not giving them enough credit, citing it. In academic work, we cite it, fair use. So give credit where credit is due. So, plagiarism consequences are not great for anyone. For students, it might lead to expulsion if it's that bad. If they get enough warnings and they keep doing it, they may get academic probation, they may fail assessments and classes. Nobody wants that. If it's a researcher, they get loss of reputation, they get legal repercussions, and then other professional problems. If it's an office, then they risk being fired or, working in get other legal issues. No one wants that. One of the things you have to think about every time you're tempted to write academic work without citing is sometimes it's not done deliberately, but this is how it's looked at. In academic work, the main thing is whenever you submit anything, this is how your lecturer thinks of it. Why should we believe your submissions or your institution? They don't want fake news, they want integrity. So, the foundation for academic success is undistorted knowledge. It means knowledge has not been taken from someone without citation, without referencing. It's knowledge that is it's gone through a peer review process and has come out the other end in an integrity way. So, what is truth? Truth is anything that has a source and it's undistorted, you know where you got it from. There is a mistake like knowledge there. Still, we know what is truth. What is true is not fake news. What is true is someone put the time in to research some great work, and if anybody else is going to use it, they might as well give them due credit. And that is what we mean by being honest. You move from, or the person moves from a dishonest position to an honest position. So these are quick 20 ways in which you can avoid plagiarism. Number one, avoid submitting work with high Turnitin similarity that does not credit sources. Number two, understand what plagiarism is and what copyright and intellectual property infringements are. It is when you take work from other sources and you do not credit it. Even if you forgot what the sources are, that is still plagiarism. Number three, it's when you research extensively, you use a variety of sources, and you cite them all. If you do the opposite, it's plagiarism. So number four, that was three, isn't it? Never cut and paste anything. Instead, paraphrase everything in your own words and cite. If you paraphrase and write things in your own words, you're not going to get Turnitin similarity. If you cut and paste and start changing words, you will get plagiarism similarity. So that's a tip for you. Number five, cite every source. Cite everything. After every 3 to 4 lines of writing, cite. You can never overcite an academic paper. Number six, store all your sources. What tends to happen is when you start reading, you might read this very interesting thing, you read the very interesting thing, you read the next one, and then by 1 month, you'll be like, oh God, where did I get that information from? I wrote this, but I didn't keep the source. Start keeping your sources. Store your references. Number seven, paraphrase everything in your own words. No one wants to be accused of stealing another author's work. Number eight, proofread. Whenever you finish your work, proofread and double check everything before submitting. Number nine, just give credit where credit is due. If someone took something of yours and did not acknowledge it, you will not like it. So acknowledge it in the proper format. Harvard format, APA format, APL, MLL. And then if you need to use the words, exact words of scholars, use quotation marks if you're citing directly from the source. But guess what? You also need to put the page number of where you get that from. So for instance, Jack 2025, page 55. Because if that needs to be checked, it's integrity. We go there, we find it. Number 11, use the plagiarism checker before submitting your work. You can use Grammarly, you can use Turnitin. Just make sure you don't just go submit. Check it, and if the plagiarism, if the similarity index is more than 15%, 10%, take it down, paraphrase some more, use synonyms, and conclude. Number 12, summarize and synthesize sources instead of simply copying and pasting. Just summarize everything you read. Number 13, title and cite all the images you use, all the pictures you use, all the models you use, all the videos you use, all the tables, every media, everything. Title and cite it. Number 14, just be aware of self-plagiarism as well. Because sometimes when you've written a work assignment and you take that and use it for another one, even if it's your work, cite yourself. Cite yourself or paraphrase yourself and cite. Number 15, use only reliable peer-reviewed sources. Use journals. Do not use any no dates or any anonymous sources because those are maybe plagiarized as well. You don't know. If there's no date, you don't even know how reliable it is or how old it is. How do you know it's good source? Number 15, make sure your sources are up to date. Make sure you use sources from within the last 3 years. 17, avoid relying heavily on one source. That's a lazy syndrome. You find students do that. They take one source and use only that for their whole paper. That's not a recipe for passing anything. That's a recipe for saying that's a lazy researcher that will probably might engage in no good citations. If you cite only one source, it's not good either. It's not just plagiarism. Number 18, display both a reference list and a bibliography in your research. You will find that a reference list is whatever you've cited in your body of your work, you put that in the end. A bibliography is what you've read but have not cited. So there's going to be sources that you've read that you haven't cited. Just put that there as well. Have a list of bibliography, and that'll cover you for in your academic work. So, number 19, ensure a terminal similarity of less than 10% for all your submitted work and you'll be fine. Number 20, ask your library at school to help you. If you know that you're struggling with how to paraphrase, how to write, how to cite properly, they have a reference guide, a citation guide. Use it. Go for their language classes. You will be helped. It will help you if you're unsure. So, what? This is how you basically engage in professional best practice, academic integrity. You apply the best practice, you paraphrase everything, you apply knowledge, you are referencing, you're making good decisions, you are just being a good student. So, how do you paraphrase? You may say, how I paraphrase is basically just making sure that whatever information you've read, you incorporate it, you write it in your own words before you point to the source of where you got that information from. So, no cut and paste whatsoever. Make sure the original text is referenced, but in your own words. So, this is an example of how you can paraphrase. So, for instance, the original text is the use of social media has significantly impacted the way that businesses communicate with their customers, Jack 2023. These are two different examples of how you paraphrase. Notice that it does not really use the same words either. According to Jack 2023, the rise of social media has substantially changed the way companies interact with their customers. While companies interact differently with their clients through the increased use of social media. In the first example, there are two similar words from the original, social media and customers. In the second example, the only similar word is social media. But guess what? They're both saying the same thing. Practice makes perfect. Paraphrase as much as possible. Whatever you read, paraphrasing. Guess what? The more you paraphrase, the better you get at understanding materials as well. It's better than cut and paste. Cut and paste, you forget easily. So, what else should you do? 5 examples of how to cite. When you have to cite in the body of your work, there are different examples. Put the authors at the beginning, at the middle, and the end. If you have more than three, for instance, first one, academic incentive for enterprise and well-being, page 11, 2024. That's just shows us that the direct quotation, same words as the author. Regular physical activity is one of the most important things you can do for your health. Our second example, we start with the author and the year. Smith 2025 asserts physical activity can reduce the risk of developing arthritis. On number 3, you put the citation at the end and the different sources they've been read. So research suggests regular physical exercise can improve mental health. Jenny 2023 and Luke 2024. So it doesn't have to be only one source. The fourth one is physical activity can reduce the risk of obesity. Chen et al. 2025. That means that you have more than that. For journal, for instance, has more than 3 authors. So you put the first author and et al. In your reference list, you can list all the authors, but in text, you don't have to list all the authors. Number 5, according to recent data, regular physical activity can reduce the risk of obesity. Same thing here, we've got 2 authors, National Obesity Institute 2022 and the World Health Organization 2024. Avoid any no-date sources, please. Do not cite web links in your body, instead cite and reference as such. What is the source? If it's an industry website, it might be the Chartered Management Institute 2023 or Jack 2023, and then you write. Don't put no date, please. Go to the Manchester Academic Phrase Bank. They have some very good examples of how you can refer to sources. Several reports have said, prior studies have said, and then more recent documents of Games X have been summarized by Smith and Jones. Many analysts, good resource for any writer. There's other phrase banks as well. Find them and use them. So, the most important thing you need to know is cite only credible sources and reference only credible sources in your academic papers. What's a credible source, you might ask? Books, your core texts, journal articles, industry websites, only reputable ones, interviews, primary communications, conference papers, reports, lectures, professional websites, educational websites, government websites, and who wrote it can be properly referenced and documented. When you're evaluating any paper, make sure you look at the text, the data, the facts, the statistics, and if it does refer to previous research. If it doesn't, don't use it. And what should you not do? Do not use any resource that has no data or any name of any expert. Do not use any Wikipedia. Wikipedia is great for reading and getting general knowledge, and the reference list is actually a good way of getting to sources, but don't cite Wikipedia itself because what we're interested in is the source, remember? Or if it's a good source to check. Do not cite any magazines, or some magazines are too sensational. Um, well, you can cite few magazines, not all. You have to do with expertise. Do not cite any blogs. Blogs are informal things, and what's the expertise of the person? You don't know, so they're not academic work or academic materials most times. Some are and some are not. If the blogs are actually very good academic work, just have to make sure where it's coming from. For instance, Harvard Business Review or other places have got some good blogs, but not most. Oh, not to use essay sharing sites or just general website material that you don't know where it came from, and no material is not peer reviewed. Please do not use any unreliable facts or data that cannot be referred to as credible research. So, how do you actually cite and reference? How about referencing is a citation style that acknowledges sources of information used. You have to know where to put the what's it called, the authors, and the rest. So this is an example of how to cite Harvard style. In Harvard style, when you're citing in the body of your work, you might say something along the lines of, according to Jules 2028, page 100, the rise of social media has significantly impacted how businesses communicate with their customers. The example of how to list that in your under the reference list, just put the author, the initial, the year, the title, the publisher, the volume, and the page number. So see Jules J 2028, Impact of Social Media on Business Communications, Journal of Business Communications, 45, volume 3, pages 43 to 52. Or if it's the same thing under, if it is a website, put same thing. But you have to show when you read it and where it's gotten from. So the last example is Jack Y 2023, Work in Success, available at, you put the web link and then assess, that's when you read it, when you saw it, for instance, 20th of March 2023. But use more journals as we said, so for instance, so as 2029, the role of technology in marketing, and the journal and the publisher is Marketing Today, volume 25, 6, pages 32 to 30. These are other examples of how to cite in Harvard style. So you use the author, year, title of the book, the location, and the publisher. This example is Stephen J. 2025, The History of Planning, which is the title. New York is the location. Random House is the publisher. Example of how to cite your journal, author, the author, title of article, title of the journal, the volume, the issue number, the page number. Jones M. Roger P. Smith J. 2029. The effects of meditation and stress reduction. Journal of Health Psychology 25. 3. So that's what you do in whatever format your organization wants you to write. If it's APA, it's similar to Harvard. It's something like this. So put the author, the year, title of the book, the location, the publisher. And you do the same thing for the journal. The difference between APA and the Harvard is, as you can see, the journal is you put the same information in, but you put PP, which is the page number, before you put the page number. In Harvard, you don't have to put the page number. And MLA style, you actually put the year at the end. So you put the author, title of the book, place of publication, the publisher, and the year at the end. Same thing for your journal. You put the authors, the title of the journal, the volume number, the issue number, the year, and then the page range. Chicago style. Put the author, title of the book, place of publication, publisher, and the year. So you put the year of the book or the journal or the website or whatever source at the end for the Chicago style as well. You can come back later and have a look at all these examples. So that is what you do. Just make sure that, if you go back there, whatever your organization chooses, stick to that. Don't use Chicago in one, Harvard in another, MLA in another. Don't cite different sources. Use one source. So thank you very much for watching. Hope you have learned how to cite and reference better. We have other resources as well. If you want, you can actually have a look and like what we do. Check out our video now to write a first class essay, and that will be might be helpful for you as well. Thank you so much, and good luck with your essay and how to cite and reference. We hope these 20 tips were helpful for you. Thank you. Bye.